All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So I'm going to touch upon a subject matter here that I think I'm going to probably piss off a lot of people, in which I don't care anyways. But what I think I don't know if I can call it this, it may be too long of a title, but what I want to get into today is relationships regarding a lot of times, just because you like someone now does not mean you're going to like them later. And a lot of people be like, you got to learn to grow, especially if you end up marrying somebody or getting engaged or having children with somebody. You got to learn to figure things out. I get it. But if you end up miserable, you end up miserable. That's just life in general. But what I want to touch upon is, it doesn't mean that the other person or people in this situation are bad people. Because again, you may like someone now who, you're dating. You may not even have kids, or maybe you do, but the situation you're in now is most likely not going to be the situation you're going to be in the future. No one knows that. Same with a career or anything else. You know as well as I do, maybe you start a job, you love it, by the end you quit or leave because you're miserable. A lot of relationships are the same way. Don't kid yourself. But if you do find somebody you really like, right, and you really have to figure out as time goes on, and it's very hard, is this going to work out? And I don't think anybody has the answer to that. Because when you first meet, let's just say at the beginning, neither one of you have children. It's a blast, the honeymoon phase. There's probably a lot of fun things you're doing. Sex and everything is a blast, right? But as time goes on, say you get married. That's a different element. But say you have one child. This dynamic immediately changes. The mother is taking a whole different perspective on her life. The father, too. It's just a different environment. Say you have another child, right? Things are constantly evolving. You don't know how that other person is going to react. You also never know what that person is going to be turning into or evolving into, is what I should say. You never know. You may, have a wife or a husband or whatever, and one day you come home and all of a sudden they're, say, extremely religious, right? Or say all of a sudden they're an atheist, hypothetically. Or all of a sudden say they want to be something that has nothing in common with who you are or what you believe in. It could be political. It could be anything. Things change a lot of times on a drop of a dime, or sometimes they evolve as time goes on. But again, you have to understand, in relationships, I believe, I'm just saying, again, what you kind of were at the beginning, again, is nothing maybe like what it's going to be later down the road. What I suggest a lot of times, and I'm just going to tell you this is just my opinion after being and seeing all what I've seen throughout my life when it comes to relationships and talking to people about them, is you got to have a lot of patience for one. There's no question, because I do believe in relationships, a lot of people go through different phases. Your husband or wife, and I have how I know this is because I have a massive family too, and I've seen so many people. And you may have a husband and wife or whatever that may be going through a different phase at any time. It could be in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And a lot of times what you loved about the person at the beginning, as time goes on, you may end up despising. So say you have a husband or a wife that's very career-driven and very, say, beautiful, and you're like, wow, I love this person because they're so beautiful, they're career-driven, they're educated, whatever. As time goes on, say you have children with this person, then they're like, they have no time for you, and they're not willing to maybe put as much time and effort into the relationship or the family as you thought, because that person's like, maybe still self-obsessed with how they look. Maybe they're still obsessed with business. So things like that happen. I'm just telling you, that's kind of easy breezy stuff. But back to having patience and learning to understand a lot. I don't care who you're married to or not married to or in a relationship. They're going to go through different phases. How much of that bullshit are you willing to put up with? And I don't mean bullshit in the sense that it's not value to the other person, but it may be not valuable to you. But they're going to go through different phases. I'm telling you, I've seen this through my entire life, especially if you're getting married for life and you plan on living 50, 60, 70, 80 years, you're going to go through a lot. And the other person, including you, and you may not even realize it, are going to go through all these different phases. I'm telling you, emotionally, physically, you're going to change. You're going to look different. Your career may change. There could be health issues, emotional issues. You may one day you come home and whoever you're with wants to maybe write a book, and then the next minute wants to start a business. The next minute wants to quit their job. The next minute wants to lose a lot of weight. In a few years gains a lot of weight. One may take on smoking or drinking. They're taking on bad habits, all these things. So, anyways, I don't mean to make it sound all horrible, but it's not. You just have to realize if you plan on being in a relationship long term, take a realistic approach. Have the patience. Now, eventually, it may not work out for you, and more than half the country usually ends up in a divorce. That doesn't always mean that you have to destroy your relationship, but just understand, as time goes on, like I said, the relationship you're in now most likely is not going to be the one it's going to be in the future, I believe. So, I'm going to wrap it up there. Oh, yeah, I would say, too, it's not only you two or whoever you're in the relationship with is changing, but society in general is changing. And the way life is kind of changing is also kind of throwing you for a loop as well a lot of times in your relationships. It could be as simple as Facebook hypothetically coming out, and that's mentioned in I forgot how many divorces, but something that you have no control over sometimes can come into play where it's out of left field, and all of a sudden it is involved with your relationship that you never even expected besides just the two of you. Now you have all these other people involved. So just an interesting perspective to think about. If you have any questions or comments, or you think I can help you, this is all opinion-based. I'm at rich@richcelenza.com. My website's richcelenza.com. My program is masteringselfconfidence.com, where I truly try to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. And I just try to give everybody a realistic approach on what a relationship is really about and not fluff it and bullshit yourself. Because I do think, I call it falling under a spell, especially at the beginning of relationships. You think you are going to feel like that for the rest of your life. That doesn't mean you're not going to love this person for the rest of your life. You can absolutely love them, and they may love you. But it definitely doesn't mean you're not going to be falling into a lot of complicated situations throughout that relationship.